Hi, everyone. Welcome to You've Got Potential, a podcast about the work and lives of undergraduate researchers. Today, our guest is Sandy Paredes. Would you like to introduce yourself and your project, or projects in this case?
Yes, so I started off with neuroscience. I didn't know what I was doing the whole time. Very, very cool major, guys. Appreciate everything y'all are doing, but I didn't get it. So I was like, okay, let me go to biology. Um, Biology is a really good major for everyone who doesn't know what they want to do because it's a whole cluster of subfields, right? But after you leave bio too, everyone kind of leaves into their own thing. And then I was kind of left like, wait, I don't think I want to be a doctor. I would, if I accidentally killed somebody, oh my God, I couldn't do that. So no, bio was out of the question. And then I found anthropology. I took this one class called Extinction. I highly recommend it. Not good if you're a catastrophist, don't, no. But it's about, the sixth extinction, which we're currently in right now. To this day, I can't really tell you exactly what anthropology is because it's a whole lot of things mixed together, right? But there's a subfield called evolutionary anthropology. So those are the people that are interested in Neanderthals, how we started out. If you like talking about Darwin and stuff, that's your place to be. And yeah, I was there for about like 3 years before I found the GERT program. So that is the Grossman Interdisciplinary Research Team. My project was with Dr. Dan Cabanas. He's an archaeologist in the anthropology department, awesome guy. He was putting together like a little Avengers thing. He was like, guys, I have this project, but we need to recruit people from different departments. So we got like 3 people and it was like super fun. Again, I was in charge of doing the bones part because that's what I thought I was interested in back then. And basically there's this archaeological, it's not a cave, it's more like a open air site. It's kind of like, okay, pretend this is like a cave, like it's open, right? So not really enclosed, but exposed enough to be impacted by weather and everything. And basically they found like remnants of early Homo sapiens over there, but they didn't find any bones, right? Which is why it's called the missing bones. The confusing thing was that like we should have found bones over there. We found remnants of like plants, like phytoliths, which are just like fossilized plant matter, which represent how people must have stayed there, must have camped out there. There's remnants of like fires happening, right? So they must have like camped out over there for at least over the winter and stuff like that. But there weren't no remnants of animal bones or human bones, which is really strange, right? So it was our job to find out what happened at that site to cause that, because we found, all other evidence of this campsite except for bones, which is the one thing that should be preserved, right? Because, out of everything in your body, your bones are going to last the longest. He went to Spain himself and he brought back those samples, and basically we would perform infrared spectrometry, which is basically you're grinding up samples into like a little powder, put it into like a little disc, and then you kind of identify what that substance is by reading the wavelengths that it reflects when you shine light through it. Unfortunately, COVID did hit right when we were supposed to get a result. The only thing we could conclude like definitely was that this was a campsite that early modern humans camped out in. It more like a pit stop. That's what we called it. It was a pit stop. It wasn't a civilization or anything, but people definitely did stay there. We can't say for how long. And yeah, that's all we could say definitely, because the lab was closed down. No one was allowed to conduct research. After I kind of jumped around majors and settled on evolutionary anthropology, I was like, oh my God, wait, what can I do with that, right? Because if you're not an archaeologist, you have very limited options, right? You could be a forensic anthropologist, but there's only like one in each state. And my professor was one of them, so I'm not going to compete with that, right? Um, you could do research in like Tennessee and stuff, but again, you don't really hear about evolutionary anthropology. It's a very niche kind of field, right?
What's in Tennessee?
Tennessee, that's like, they have like the body farm over there. That's like, if you're a forensic person like me, that's like your dream. So like, I see your face. It's
We have I don't
literally-
have any idea what that is.
Really? Okay, so
Yeah.
volunteers will, like, how people donate their body to research. This is kind of like a haven if you're into forensics like me. Not to be creepy, but it's literally just volunteers' bodies just like dumped in different settings, and students will study how they decompose in different settings, right? So people might volunteer to have their body in a trunk or something. I don't know how to make this sound less weird, but that's basically what it is. Again, there's videos on YouTube. It's not anything gore. They're gonna blur out anything crazy, but I think it's really valuable to have that. I think everyone who donated their body is there because, again, if you're not studying a human body, the next thing you will have is like a pig. The pig is the most similar thing to a human because they have like very similar digestive systems and fat content and hair content, right? Which kind of gets into my next project. I'll get into that later. But back to the double majors thing, I had to fulfill a requirement for biology, as you do. That's kind of how you discover classes. I took this class because I had to fulfill a requirement and it sounded interesting, right? So I took World of Insects, 100 level course with Dr. Chloe Hawkins. This woman could have pulled me into the department. I blame her 100%. Okay. She's amazing. She's my current advisor. I'm very close with her. And it was actually both of their first semester in the department. She just came from, I think, like Texas. She just started out at Rutgers. I was just finding the entomology department, and she was like, hey, so you're interested in forensics? We have forensic entomology. So just like forensics and bugs in that setting. We have, you could do a lot of cool things with bugs. I was like, I had no idea, So this is kind of like an extension of what you could do with forensics. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea you could do all these things with bugs. That's awesome, right? Yeah, that's kind of how I tumbled into my double major. Yeah, if you find yourself just like falling into another field, like just go ahead, right? You have no idea what you could do in that field. I mostly stayed because of the people in the department. Again, both of my departments are very small. I know almost everyone in both of the majors, which is, something I couldn't really say when I was a part of the bigger departments like bio. I didn't know even 1% of the department, right? If you join a niche department, you get a lot of support. It's a lot more focused on you. You can talk to the grad students, the professors a lot more. Again, everyone in your major, so everyone's there to help you. They're interested in your work, right? And, sometimes you can team up with other people. Again, there aren't that many students to go around, so you might find yourself as part of a team, which I think I work better in. So yeah, that's.
We haven't heard the entomology project yet, but maybe we can like segue from how you took the class with the professor, and then you said she's your advisor, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was with entomology for maybe, I don't know, like a year and a half, and then it was time for me to do like a senior thesis. Again, everyone is encouraging me to do this. It isn't required. But I was like, who would I be if I didn't do a senior thesis? I gotta feel special. Come on. I need to do something right now. I'm not researching anything. So this was under the G.H. Cook Scholars Program. I joined senior year, like a month before the deadline of when you're supposed to submit your abstract for it, right? So Dr. Hawkins, who was my professor at the time, was like, we could do it. It's fine. You have enough interest in forensics in your work that it could totally happen. So yeah, I jumped in at the very last second and she helped me through it. And yeah, I submitted my thesis. I did the whole presentation and everything at the end. And yeah, so what is my project even? Get ready for a title. It's not the missing bones. This one is called The Ecological Succession of Partially Submerged Carrion and Aquatic Environments. For this project, I kind of came up with the idea of, again, with the body farm I told you guys about, research of how bodies like decompose on the land and like terrestrial environments. That's been done so many times over, well standardized, it's very well understood, right? But I'm like, what if we could do it in water? Oh, imagine how gross that is right now. Imagine that's how gross it was. Okay, I did a presentation on bog bodies. So these are basically very well preserved bodies in, like, you know, like Nordic states, because they have like bogs, and basically when people died there, they would kind of like sink into mud, and that mud will kind of preserve them so well that to this day you can like still see their emotions like on their face and everything when they died. It's so, look at bog bodies. It's crazy how like well you could see you know, the wrinkles on their faces and everything, their hair, right? Again, I had to make this a bug project somehow, right? Because it was leaning dangerously towards archaeology, right? And I'm like, no, this is the bug project. Hold on, I gotta do this, right? So my idea was, what if I studied how insects arrive on corpses, right? And again, that's very well studied in terrestrial environments. You can actually find out how long a corpse has been there based on insects that you find on a dead body, basically, right? Yeah, so if I find like fly eggs on a dead body, I'm like, okay, this person hasn't been there for more than a few days, right? If I find adult flies, I'm like, okay, this person has been here for more than 24 hours, blah, 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 right? If I find centipedes and beetles on a dead body, I'm like, okay, this person has definitely been here for at least 2 weeks, stuff like that, right? So that's on the land. I was like, what if I could do that on a body in water? Ooh, TLDR, I wanted to study how that pattern of different insects would be affected by the body being submerged in water. And everyone is like, why should we care? So people drown all the time. People are gonna have investigations of like, you know, clandestine deaths over water, people gonna dump dead bodies in the water when they kill somebody, stuff like that, right? If investigators find a floating body in water, they don't know what to do with it. I kind of wanted to fill in that gap with my own data, right? But I didn't have any dead bodies to work with, obviously. So again, the next best thing is a pig. So if you use a normal domestic pig that we have here in the US, again, they have very similar fat content. They're going to decompose very similarly to how humans do. We got these stillborn pigs from the Rutgers farm. I had a few. And yeah, basically they're heavy, guys. They're like little baby pigs. They're at least like 13, 15 pounds. Oh my God. And I know. So I put one on land to compare to. And that one decomposed fairly quickly as expected. And I took two more and I submerged them in water and they decomposed very slowly. It took at least like a month for them to even start to like change color and decompose and stuff like that. Again, if you're in water, the temperature is going to be a lot colder than if you were on land. Not that many insects and predators have access to your body in water. So that's another reason why you're going to decompose a lot slower. it's more of an anaerobic environment. So, the conditions are just different. So it was very much me having to have river water in this giant plastic tub versus, pond water in a tub on campus. That's the most I could do. And yeah, I kind of had to think about like all the complications and that, like, oh my God, I have to get clearance for this. Am I even allowed to do this? Is this going to be an environmental concern? Is pig waste considered environmental waste? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The entomology aspect is looking at what bugs are present at what time. If I see eggs, how old is this corpse? Can I date how long this corpse has been here, right? And on the terrestrial corpse, obviously that succession rate has been a lot faster. I saw beetles a lot earlier than I did on the corpses in water. For the corpses in water, they've been decomposing a lot slower. So I saw flies for maybe weeks before I saw any beetles, right? So that just shows you how, slower it is in water. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I didn't really have a lot of the necessary necessary tools that I needed, because this is right when COVID started. People didn't want to come out and meet me. I kind of had to make do what I had in the lab and what my professors could get for me. So I am continuing this project over now in the summer until November, which is when the next conference is, and hopefully I'll have more accurate data. But when I first did this project for the GH Cook program, the data I did have was, surprise, the corpses in water decompose slower, therefore the succession rate is going to be slower for corpses in water versus terrestrial, obviously, right?
Is the actual form that the ecological succession takes different because the corpse is in water and some bugs might not have access to it?
Oh yeah. That's a good point. So if you die on land, right, there is no limit to what has access to your body, right? This also includes scavengers like vultures and stuff like that, right? Like you're in the open air, so bugs can come up from the ground, vultures can come up from the air, your body is gone in within weeks. If you're in water, you're limited to the exposed part, right? So if you're floating, bugs and scavengers can only access to what is exposed and floating over water, right? Whatever's underwater is going to decompose slower, and that's up to whatever microbes are present in the water, fish and stuff like that. There's shrimp in Passion Puddle somehow. I don't know how. That's cool. They got turtles in there. They got koi fish. They got everything. And yeah, so it's as much of an ecological project as it is a forensic one, which I didn't think I would have to be doing ecology for this, but I did. I don't really understand exactly what I saw in that water. It's very strange. There's like little tiny things buzzing around. They're not insects. I don't know. If you know any marine biologists, let me know, because I have no idea what those little things are. But yeah, Passion Puddle has a lot of life in it. And it does factor into how it does decompose. That was a good point.
You sort of like touched on it, but is there any room for, like, in your line of work, for like the physical sciences like chemistry or physics? Do they have any contribution to the work that you guys do?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so in forensic entomology, chemistry is an important aspect. Again, I touched on how ecology is important, forensic is important. And you do have people in chemistry that are interested in it. Some people in my lab group are from the chemistry department. And kind of their role is either like, I would say like barcoding and stuff, or toxicology. So toxicology is a huge thing in forensic entomology because I had no idea this was a thing. Like, you can actually tell what drugs a person did according to what is found on the insects that are on them, right? I could dissect a fly that was like on a corpse and say, like, oh, this person was doing meth. That's crazy, right? Or, stuff like that. So that's kind of like the basis of toxicology, just like finding out, what drugs that person was doing, what was in their body when they died. It's pretty cool. I don't do it, but some people I know do, and it's very interesting work.
You mentioned before that you're kind of unsure about where you want to go from here. You have any current ideas?
Yeah, I definitely want to stay with forensics. I know the field I want to stay in. I'm just not well versed on the jobs that are possible for me. I guess that's kind of what I meant by that. I know I'm very much a forensics person. I know that I'm horrible at DNA barcoding and analysis. I know I can't do that. I tried and I failed. And I know that I want some sort of like investigative job, whether that be in archaeology, entomology, whatever, as long as it has to do with dead things, I'm there, whatever. Um, if you got some gross and dead stuff, I'm your person. Let's go. So yeah, I wanted to apply for the FBI internship, and that's something I wanted to do. Ooh, Monica's excited. Yeah, that's something I wanted to do since high school, but I kept on missing the due date because I just had, but this time I'm serious about it because, again, if you come in as an FBI intern, they will keep you for a full-time job. That's the thing. If you're an intern, you can stay as long as you want. So that's one thing to aim for. I am considering grad school, but grad school is an expensive investment. I want to be sure I know exactly what I'm doing before I jump into it.
I was just gonna ask, you talk of research as something that has a lot of objective and a lot of purpose to it,
Mhm.
which is beautiful to hear because it is very true. We're not just like lying around all day looking in a microscope and just coming up with ideas about it. There's a lot of purpose. There's a lot of drive that goes into what we do. Would you say that like that aspect of research is what you like most about research, or otherwise, what do you think you like most about research and like being a student researcher, and how has
Mm.
research impacted you on a personal level throughout your undergraduate career?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. Oh, okay. Um, I guess I don't know if anyone knows me. I'm a very, what's the word we've been using? Bumbly person. I like to avoid things that make me stressed out, or I'm lazy. Okay, I'm a lazy person, but I get stuff done. I'm very good at doing things last second. Let me tell you, I can pull off an A if I only studied 2 days before. I don't know how, but I'm really good at fishing information out of my brain last second. I don't know how, but it's a skill of mine. I'm not saying I do that for every class, but it has to have been done for the classes that didn't really matter as much to me, those core classes, whatever, right? I do care about my work though, just saying. But yeah, having people around you that are also doing research, having professors that are really on the spot about what they want done and when is very good, because I do need a goal in mind. You have to give me like a time frame. You got to be like, I need a deadline if you want anything from me, because if not, I'm gonna stretch it on forever and never submit it. Okay. You have to like tell me, I want this done by next week. This is what I want to see, blah blah blah, and let's see that. And I'm like, okay, and I'll do it, right? Because like it's like, yeah, it is a goal, but it's kind of like also a motivation to get this done as soon as possible, because I do get stressed out if something takes too long to finish and stuff. And having weekly lab meetings does help with that, because it does kind of want you to have something to present, but that isn't always the case. You're going to have weeks where nothing happens, right? And that's fine. and I do appreciate having feedback and stuff. I do like being able to give feedback to my my lab members also, because I like being able to help people, and I like having people who can help me in turn. Again, it's very much good camaraderie to have in an academic setting, kind of the best you can have besides the clubs here that you can find. And I do think it has changed me into, a person that can deal in a professional setting with a stressful environment, especially during COVID. I conducted research during COVID, I can say that. I've learned, self-dependence and stuff. If, something wasn't done by another person, you do have to pick up the slack. You do to be accountable for your own work, and people have to be accountable for theirs, right? And I just think it's really good to prepare you for, the field, whatever that field is, because people are not going to wait for you.
Talking about science community, I would like to highlight so much how important it is that people have a personality like yours. Like you're so bubbly, so
Ah,
expressive, so passionate about what you do. And I feel like something that really, really, really like got to me today was your enthusiasm, but also your energy. That is so important. Whether you end up doing like research with your life, or if you're gonna be working with the FBI, or
hopefully.
forensic super cool thing, and which are all like super needed. Like earlier you touched on how maybe like sometimes it feels like some people don't understand the need of a project like body decomposition in water, but like everything is important. There's a reason why questions come to mind, like someone needs to answer them. So I mean, I do think you're gonna achieve super cool things. You really have the energy for it, and I do wish you the best for your future, for your summer, for your conference. I hope you have a great time with it. And I would also like to thank you so much for taking time out of your super busy life to be here with us today. It just means so much to me, to us, and um, it was a privilege, huge privilege to hear from you today. So thank you so much again.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you guys for having me. I think that whatever work you get done, you should appreciate yourself and congratulate yourself on what you do finish, because I am taking a little longer than I thought I would. But as long as I did more than I did before, then I know that I'm making a little more progress than I did. Um,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So,
That's 100% accurate. Any step along the way is a step that builds you in your ladder of life. So,
yeah, don't rush it. Don't give yourself a time limit.
girl, I want to really, really, really wish you the most amazing things and remind you, along with this topic of building yourself and building you as a researcher, that you have so much potential. You've got potential, and
You
all of
got
our
potential.
listeners, you too, got potential. And we hope you had a great time today.